Good morning everybody and welcome back to my channel. This is the second video that I am filming today. Maybe we should start a game where we play guess what videos were filmed consecutively on my channel and you guys get a point if you can figure out which ones I film on the same day, usually because I'm wearing the same shirt. Today I really want to go over and recap some of the cool things that Mark and I have done because, like I say when I talk about travel, I get what I call the itch, and this one is to do something stupid. I have an idea of what I really want to do, hopefully for my birthday this year, but I'm not sure if our budget is going to allow it, so I'm going to keep it under wraps for now because if we don't do it for my birthday I definitely want to do it at some point and it'll make a really cool video, so I want to surprise you guys with that when it does happen. Not sure when that's going to be yet, but to kind of give you an idea of the sort of thing that I am talking about and wanting to do a whole lot more of, I thought I would do a bit of like a recap video and talk about our journey to where we are today, some of the cool things we've done, and I do want to talk a little bit about like what I thought of each experience, because maybe if there's someone out there that's been considering doing some of these things that we've done, maybe this will help. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe this will totally change your mind and make you decide that no, you don't want to do this. I've got my phone here because I need to know what order these things happened in, and the only way that I can do that is through like photos and Facebook posts. So I'm going to be scrolling a little bit. For reference, Mark and I met and began dating in 2015, so he was 19, I was 18 years old, and our first like proper adventure that we went on, the first kind of stupid thing we did, was for my birthday in 2016. So I've got it here. I will try and put photos of all of these things on the screen. This one I don't have a lot of photos of. I think there's probably only going to be one, but my very first YouTube video on this channel is like a little like montage of us doing this, and this was when we went to Napier in New Zealand to swim with sharks. Now this wasn't free diving, it wasn't in the ocean or anything, it was in the aquarium, and it's in like this tank where there's like the tunnel that goes underneath it, so there's like people in the tunnel and stuff. It is fed with seawater, I believe, so it is very, very cold. You'll be able to see probably by the picture that Mark particularly looks very cold because it was absolutely freezing. But it was so cool, and this is really what sort of sparked everything for me. I love sharks. I have always loved sharks. I think they're fantastic. They're so fascinating. I just think they're the most beautiful creatures, and something in my brain just went, this year I really, really want to swim with sharks, and why not do it for my birthday? Why not make it something fun? You know, it kind of helped me to justify the cost of it as well. And so we did it, and I just remember being so absolutely like in love with the experience that I was like, I've got to do something again. I've got to do this again. I've got to do something different. I've got to keep going. So I don't know if that was like the introduction to a bit of like an adrenaline junkie for me, but it was definitely so much fun. I loved it. I had the best time. Mark had a great time. We definitely switched. He was very, very nervous leading into it, and I was so confident. And then when it came to get in the pool, that switched, and he was just off. He was in there, and I hesitated at the edge for a moment because I was like, maybe my mum was right. Maybe this is a little bit stupid, but it was great. It was fun. There was a whole bunch of like fish in the tank as well. You can see the people in the tunnel and wave to them. There were stingrays in the tank as well. That honestly was the only thing that freaked me out a little bit. I just tried not to get too close to those guys because I do find them a little bit creepy. Right, the next one we did was when we went to Wellington Zoo and met the cheetahs. Now I believe we did this in 2018. Again, there is a YouTube video on my channel for this. It's a very, very old one, so the quality of those videos are not very good, but I think it's just great to have the memories still, so that's why I've left them up there. The photos that I've got here weren't uploaded until 2020, but that does not feel right at all. I'm damn sure we did this in 2018. And this was great. We did this, I believe, for Mark's birthday that year. pretty sure we did this for Mark's birthday. It's a little bit hazy, as you can tell, but it was a lot of fun. So what you do is you kind of go into the enclosure and they have you sit down on a log, as you'll see. If you want to go and watch the video, please do. It's probably going to show you a lot better than I can explain it. And then what they do is they let them into like your enclosed yard. It is quite a big yard, and basically you just sit there and you wait for them to come to you. So there's absolutely no like forcing them to interact with you. There's no like bribing or anything like that. They're not on leads. It's completely like free will of their own. Obviously they're let into the same area that you're in, and if they want to come to you, they come to you, and if they don't, they don't. We were very, very lucky at the time. We were told by the keepers that were in with us that actually the last few weeks they had been very standoffish and just wanted to kind of take a nap in the corner, and we were the first ones in a while that they had come up to and interacted with, so I felt very, very lucky for that. For some reason they really loved Mark. Like, Mark got heaps of pats, he got licks, like they absolutely adored him. I just think they're the coolest creatures ever, and you'll probably hear me talk about Wellington Zoo a couple more times because we've done quite a few animal encounters there, and it's because I, for one, have a bit of a love-hate relationship with zoos. Like, don't get me wrong, I would much rather these animals be in the wild where they belong, but for some reason a lot of these animals are extremely endangered. They're in breeding programs, they're not out in the wild, maybe they're poached in the wild, things like that. So for some people and some animals, it is just better for them to be where they are currently, you know. And all of the interactions that we've done, especially with Wellington Zoo, a lot of the profit, I suppose, that they make, or the money that you pay to do these encounters, goes directly towards the animals. You know, it goes straight back into the zoo so that they can provide more for these animals, but it also goes into like conservation programs and things like that to help them further in the wild. So that's something that I am very, very passionate about, and I did do a lot of research into each one of these things before we did them to make sure that they were, you know, like humane, I suppose. I understand that some people are not gonna be happy with these sorts of encounters and things, and that's absolutely fine. That is on you. Please just don't leave any nasty comments for me. It's something that we chose to do because it was a lot of fun. It definitely benefits them in the monetary side of things, and for me they definitely met my needs when it comes to it being humane and safe and, you know, beneficial in ways for everybody. Pushing that aside and going back to the cheetahs, it was absolutely an amazing experience. I do, however, believe that those cheetahs have been retired from that encounter now. Obviously this was some years ago. I think it was about 7 or 8 years ago that we did this, so unfortunately if you're looking to do it at Wellington Zoo, maybe have a bit of a research and a look, because I do think that they have been retired, and I think there's obviously a different encounter in their place now. But in terms of like Wellington Zoo encounters as a whole, I would definitely recommend them. I'll circle back to that in a few experiences time. This is where things do get a little bit hazier, because I did not make YouTube videos for the next however many things we did. So it is a little bit harder for me to remember exactly when these things happened. Now the photos for these were also uploaded in 2020, but I think this was in 2019 because it was before COVID, and we did 2 things that year before COVID put everything into lockdown. So I believe, actually, incorrect. We went for the lights show. So this is when we went to New Plymouth. We went to see, I believe it's the TSB light show that they have every year. And then while we were there, we went to like a farm zoo that they have there, and we fed white tigers. Now, white tigers, when I was a kid, like they were, I was obsessed. If you can't tell, it has always been on my bucket list since I was about 5 years old to meet a white tiger. I genuinely thought they were like unicorns. Like, I didn't think that they actually existed for such a long time. But when I saw that they had one there and you could go and feed them, I was like, take my money, take it, I'm in, so fast. And it was great. Now this is a little bit of a different one. because you don't actually go in with them, which, like, it's a tiger, I get it. So you have like a pair of tongs and some meat and you kind of just like feed them through the bars, and it's still a really cool experience is the word. Sorry, I'm gonna sneeze. The thing that I like about these experiences as well is that they're all done in like small groups of people. Like our sharks, it was just Mark and I. The cheetahs, it was Mark and I and one other person. This one, I believe it was us and maybe 2 or 3 other people. So small groups, you're not overwhelming the animal. You also, especially with this one, we all took turns going in and out. So there was only ever one person and one keeper in there at a time. And you gave them, you know, they're being rewarded with food to basically just stand there and eat food from random people. Like they don't care that you're there. All they care is that they're getting fed, you know. But it was such a cool experience just being so close to one, you know, and that was definitely such a huge dream for me come true. Even though it was a little bit like it was hands-off-ish, it was very different to what we were used to in terms of being up next to these animals, but it was still such a cool experience, and I would 100% recommend it to anybody. It's not like a huge zoo or anything when you go there, but it's definitely pretty cool. You can get like little bags of feed and feed like ostriches and stuff. Not for me, not ostrich, or was it an emu? Don't know, don't care, don't know the difference. They're all terrifying to me. That's what matters. Regardless, the white tiger experience was absolutely phenomenal. It was like the biggest childhood bucket list item. Like 5-year-old me inside was screaming. 100% recommend it to anyone who wants to try it. I think it's just a fun time. It's a quick experience, but it's a really good one. Yeah? Alright? You awake? Now the next one we did was also in 2019. This is really when we started getting into the swing of things. Like we started doing things twice a year. Typically it was one for Mark's birthday, one for mine. We had done, thank you, we'd done stuff in 2018, really getting into the swing of things in 2019, and then COVID hit. Now there is some footage of this on my YouTube channel, but it was posted very, very late. So what we did was we went to Rotorua, we did the like Redwoods treetop walk where you actually like go up. We did it at night time because I'm absolutely petrified of heights, so I couldn't see how far we were from the ground, and that really worked for me. There's beautiful lights and sculptures up in the trees, so that was a really cool experience. But the main reason that we went was to ride the zip line. Now if you've been or know anything about Rotorua, there's the Zorb balls, I believe. They do like a free fall, like drop. There's a slingshot type thing that you do, there's the luge, and there's the zip line. Now I'm scared of 99% of these things, and we were working up to this kind of stuff a little bit slowly for me. So we went to do the zip line and it was so much fun. Like genuinely, we rode the luge a couple of times and that was fun. Mark really had a good time doing that, but the zip line was the main event. It was my first time riding a zip line. I was absolutely petrified of falling to my death, but it was really fun. It's about a minute long ride, I think, and then when you get to the other end and hop off, you have the choice of like walking down this big long staircase, or you can do a 13-meter free fall. Now we both did the free fall, but we did it significantly differently because Mark is extremely confident in these types of things. He literally just walked off the edge and was like, "Okay, bye," whereas I kind of like waddled out to the edge, and I literally looked at the guy next to me and I was like, "You're gonna have to push me because there ain't no way in hell I'm pushing myself off this edge," and he was more than happy to. So we both did it. It was a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. It was scary. It was definitely like the thing I'm most afraid of in this life is falling from a great height, so that was a thing. But it's one of those ones that like when you come out the other side of it, you're really proud of yourself for having done it. The zip line itself is so beautiful. You go over top of where people are like riding the luge, and it's just like beautiful New Zealand greenery everywhere. It's also 2 side by side, so like you can race the person next to you, which is really fun. It kind of adds another element to it, which I'm all about, and this was definitely my first like proper adrenaline rush when we did something like this, and it was purely because I went into it so scared. But it was great. This is one that I would do again in a heartbeat. It makes me want to go back there and try some of the other things that they've got. Don't quote me on that because I'm still very afraid of them, but I definitely do the zip line again. I'd do the free fall again too, but I would still probably have to be pushed just because I'm a scaredy cat. Now again, no YouTube footage of this one, but I do have my uploads, and these ones went up in January of 2020. So it was kind of like after the first wave of COVID, but everyone was still like masked up and really cautious. So you can see in the photos we are wearing masks. We did go back to Wellington Zoo because for Mark's birthday he really wanted to meet the capybaras. Now he is obsessed with them, so this was like Christmas. Best birthday ever, you know. So we went and we did a quick experience with them, which was really cool. Again, a very small group. I think there was about 4 of us, and you don't actually physically touch the capybaras in this one. They kind of bring out a bunch of food. The cappies just kind of like mill around, hang out. They might sniff you. They kind of just focus on talking to each other, and then you get these like little back scratcher things, like human back scratches, and that's how you can give them a little bit of attention, but there's no actual like physical touching of them in this one. You kind of, I think you can feed them like a leaf or something if they're in a friendly mood, but mostly they do just sort of like mill about in front of you. Obviously the keepers talk to you a lot about the species and give you some really good insight into like how they work and whether they're happy and what behaviors they're displaying when they're in front of you, which is really cool. It was a cool experience. It was one that I wasn't particularly interested in, I'm not gonna lie, but Mark really wanted to do it, and so we did it for his birthday, and I was honestly really glad we did because they're a lot cuter in person than I thought they were gonna be. And then directly after this, actually, we went over and same visit, we also did the meerkat encounter because we really wanted to. And you know what, the capybara one was, I think, really reasonably priced if I remember, and it was a long way for us to travel to do that one thing, so we decided to do the meerkats as well, and they were so cute. I was dying. They really liked Mark. I don't know what it is, but animals and babies just really like gravitate towards Mark. So with the meerkats you have to have like closed-toed shoes, long pants, stuff like that, just because they do have claws. And you kind of just sit there, and they have some like enrichment items, some toys, boxes, stuff like that for them to climb through, and then they bring out some food for them, and they all just kind of like flock in there. Like there was so many of them, and they run all over you. Like they really liked Mark's shoes and his shoelaces, and it's just the cutest thing ever. Now you're not allowed to touch these guys either, but they can touch you. It's sort of like the same with the sharks. Like they said, when you're in the tank, don't reach out and touch them because you might startle them, and you don't want to do that. But if they're interested in you, they're gonna come and touch you, so you kind of just have to be prepared for that. And it was the same with the meerkats. Like you'll see in the photo, I had one climb up directly onto my lap, and my first like response as a person is, oh, you're so cute, and I actually had to like stop myself because all I wanted to do was cuddle this adorable little meerkat. But I'm like, no, follow the rules, behave yourself, it's in the best interest of the animal if you don't physically touch them. But it was so cute. This is an encounter that I think would be really, really good for kids. There was I think a mum and 2 kids in with us when we did this, and everyone was just having the best time. This is one that I really love. I'd do this again too, but I really love meerkats. They're so cute, and it kind of doesn't help like when you meet these animals that you're like, oh my god, they're so cute, like cuteness, aggression. These things don't help, they make it worse. It's definitely like a dream come true sort of moment if you're an animal person like I am, but you also just leave being like, well, I live here now, I'm gonna be back here every day to do that again. So definitely another one that was really, really cool for me. So we took another break after this because I believe it would have been 2020, so COVID would have flared up again. We were meant to get married in 2020, but we had to put it off because of that. We did end up buying our house in 2020, and then we got married in 2021. So we went on our honeymoon in May/June of 2021, and we did so many cool things. We tried to pack like as much as possible as we could because we did 2 weeks in the South Island, and so we kind of took the ferry across and drove down the west coast and then back up the east coast and fit in just as much as we could. And yes, I did have to sit there in my head for a second and go north, south, east, west to figure out what coast we started on. So the first thing we did, and it was pretty much like the first proper day that we were in the South Island, was we did the Sky Swing, I believe it's called. I think it's in Nelson. Let me look that up really quick. My apologies, I googled it and it's called the Nelson Skywire. So I'll attach a couple photos. I don't have any video footage of this, I don't think. But it's basically like this weird little like egg-shaped thing. It's got seats in it, you sit in it, you get strapped in, and then they basically just like let you go into a gully. Now I was quite scared of this one because I thought it was gonna like torpedo you forward. But it actually didn't. It's not like powered, I think, on the initial, like I don't think there's any thrust or anything to it, so it kind of lets you go and you gradually speed up, and it goes really freaking fast by the end of it, but it took that kind of initial fear away for me and I really enjoyed it. I had a great time, and you go like all the way over to like an opposite mountain essentially, and then it goes backwards, so it does the exact same thing but backwards. It was really, really fun. That was the one thing that I was like not worried, but like, yeah, a little bit concerned about. I was a bit anxious doing that one, so I'm glad we did it on like our first day of our honeymoon so that I wasn't worried for the entire trip. But it was also really, really fun, and I think if you're going through that area or going down there, I would recommend this one to do. It's a bit of an adrenaline rush without being too scary. It's very, very safe, and again, the people who run it are so lovely and so knowledgeable. It's a great time. It's a short ride, but it's a really, really fun one. Next thing we did, because we went down, I'm trying to think, because we went down the west coast, we drove through, like, we stopped and saw the glaciers, they were really pretty. We drove through to Queenstown, and then in Queenstown we did a bunch of like little things, but the one that I'm going to try and insert some footage of is like these shark boats that we did. Now these were really impulsive. Our Queenstown stay did not go how we planned at all. Pretty much everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, and I have a real vendetta against Queenstown. Did I call it Queensland? Queenstown. I don't know, I'm tripping myself out, but I have a real vendetta against Queenstown because of how that trip went. But these shark boats were really, really fun. I have never actually seen the footage of these because we've just never watched them. There's a couple things that we've done that I have not ever looked back on the footage of us doing them. So I do have USBs of both Mark and I in the shark boats. So I'm going to try and input them here, and just know that if you're about to see them, me editing this video was the first time I have ever watched that footage. I actually had a great time. They did make me a little bit nauseous. They're quite hard to get in and out of, and I wouldn't recommend them if you're kind of like a bit bigger. You can see in that video, I think when we got married I was about 95 kilos, and it was a little bit hard to get in and out of the boats physically just because you actually have to get down into them. I remember getting a really bad bruise on the back of my arm because I whacked myself getting into them, and then climbing out was quite difficult as well. So maybe if you are around that 100 kg or plus mark, this one might be a little bit hard, but it is really, really fun, so I would give it a go anyway. And then on our way back up, I'll try and insert a couple of pictures, but I don't think you're going to be able to see anything very well. We did do some whale watching, so we took a flight. We got in a tiny little plane, and this was when I don't think Mark had pretty much ever been in a plane before, like maybe once or twice, so this was his thing for the trip. He was like, I'm getting in this teeny tiny little plane, I'm gonna die. No, he wasn't, but you know, he was a little bit uneasy about it. It was a really good time. We saw whales, we saw dolphins. It was just really cool. This was another really impulsive thing. I think I booked it the night before, and then we did it at like 8 o'clock the next morning, but I'm so glad we did because it was just so much fun. It was a little plane of the driver, and then I think there was 7 of us because it was like an 8-seater plane. So really good time. Everyone had like just the best attitude, because sometimes that's my thing about doing these events and doing them in groups. You never know who you're going to be paired with, but I think we are quite lucky. We had a couple of New Zealanders like us, people who were just traveling the South Island, and then a few like overseas backpacker type travelers, and everyone was just so nice. It was the best vibe in that little plane. Like that's another one that I would do again because I think it was just so cool. Like yeah, we got to see whales and dolphins and everything like that, but there's also the act of like hunting for them, you know, and that was fun too. I also forgot to mention that while we were down in Christchurch for our honeymoon, we went to, I believe it's Orana Wildlife Park, where we had scheduled a lion encounter where they do this thing where you hop in a truck and then you drive through and then the lions kind of like come to you. So it's the opposite of like them being in a cage and you seeing them. It's pretty cool. We were really excited to do it, but unfortunately the whole place flooded, like the whole of Christchurch and like the lower South Island flooded while we were down there. We were driving through floodwaters to try and make it to Christchurch while the bridges were closing, so we did still go because they said they were technically open, and there were a mother and child, I think. No, it was another couple, and we were the only 2 couples in the park. There was no one else there. It was pouring with rain, it was flooded, and they said if you want to see stuff, we'll let you see it, like you can still come. And they drove us around in their vans because just to try and not get wet. We still walked around and we saw a whole bunch of stuff. It was a really great visit, and we did still do our like lion encounter, but they did it a little bit differently, and they did respectfully ask us not to show any photos or anything on the internet of that encounter because it's not something that they offer to the public. So they didn't want a whole bunch of people seeing it and saying, oh, I really want to go and do that, how do I book that, because it's not something that is typically on offer. So we did get to see a little bit of behind the scenes of the park. We still got to see the lions and they were so amazing. So I do just want to say thank you to the staff for doing that for us, because you know, it was our honeymoon. It was a one in a lifetime event for everyone. You know, you only go on your honeymoon once, but it's also not every day or every year that your whole zoo is going to flood. So we did ring and ask them beforehand and say like, hey, we're more than happy to not come or whatever, and they were like, no, well, we're all here, so you might as well come if you don't mind getting wet. So it was genuinely, that one is probably the one that is the once in a lifetime experience, because it's not something that everybody gets to do, and we were so lucky that they accommodated jeepers us in that way, so that we could still have some sort of interaction with the lions and still get to see them and learn about them. So that one was awesome. Wasn't sure whether I wanted to mention it or not, but I will point it out just because I really want to give the park a shout out for everything that they did for us that day. It was really wonderful, and I can't wait to hopefully go back there someday when it's not flooding and see it in its like full glory. Now our next one was in 2022, and this was when we did the Sky Tower Skywalk. Now I've mentioned this in videos before, and this is the one thing that we have done that I hated. I hated every second of it. I did not enjoy it. I'm not going to say I regretted doing it, because I don't, but I would never ever do it again. And if you're afraid of heights, don't do this. It's no. So we had a group of about 6 of us. I think that's the maximum that they take, and literally what you do is they put you in a harness, they attach you to a piece of rope on like the front and the back of you, and you walk around a platform that is 4 feet wide. It's a grate, so it's see-through. It's on the outside of the Auckland Sky Tower. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, it's 182 meters off the ground. It's not a fun time. Mark had the time of his life. Everyone else that was on that little boardwalk with us, the other 4 people, had the time of their life. They're doing these things where they like get you to lean out over the edge and walk with your eyes shut. I was not fucking having it, let me tell you. Don't get me wrong, I was not that person that like ruined it for other people. I definitely did my best to have a smile on my face. I did try a couple of the things, like I did the walking with my eyes closed and things like that, but there ain't no way on this sweet earth that you're getting me to lean out over the edge of a platform that high off the ground, rope or no rope. 17 ropes or no ropes, it ain't happening. I had a terrible time. I had a bad time. I did not have fun. They were talking about some really good stuff. Obviously it's absolutely beautiful up there. I just would have preferred seeing it from inside the glass. And we did. We went up even higher and we saw it from inside the glass. And that was fine. I had a good time. Not this one. I did have on my bucket list that I really wanted to jump off the Sky Tower. And while we were doing that walk, we watched people jumping off the Sky Tower. And I don't think I can do that one. I don't know. That one's definitely going to take some rethinking. But yeah, I will try and find some photos of this one. Obviously you're not allowed your cell phone or anything like that, so I don't have any photos on a phone. I don't have any footage on a GoPro. I spent 99% of the time trying not to cry because I was terrified. But I believe we have a USB somewhere that has some photos, if not anything on it. It's another one of those things that I have never ever looked at. Yeah, it was a time, it was a thing. I think if you're into that sort of thing, you'll enjoy it. Like I said, Mark had a really good time. He thought it was cool. If anything, it was a little bit long. I do think it's a 45-minute experience, so it is quite long. Like, you walk around the entire exterior of the building. He had fun. Once I kind of settled into it, was like, okay, I've done this, I want to go back inside. But like, I'm glad I can say I did it. I guess that's my one that I'm like, If you're scared of heights, don't do this one. On that same trip, we also did like a head first zip line. It was only short, but it was a lot of fun. So it's like you lie down in them and you're in like a little bag and then you kind of zoom down the hill. So that was really fun. I'm really into zip lines now after the Rotorua one. So that was really cool to do. And then Mark also did a vertical bungee. I didn't do this one. I get FOMO really, really bad, but there was no way in hell you could pay me to do this. You literally like stand on a platform and they attach bungee cords to you and they literally just like shoot you straight up into the sky. Absolutely not. I have video footage of Mark and it did not look like he had a good time. He said it was an okay time, but you have the option of going like 3 times. He literally did it once and he was like, I'm good, thank you. So yeah, that one, that's not on my to-do list. Not that one, no thank you. Anything with bungee in the word or like in the name of it, absolutely not. Not for me. January of 2023, we are almost there, team. We went skydiving. Now Mark decided he really wanted to do this for his birthday. Originally I booked just him because again I was like, don't think so, bud. But the closer we got to it, the more I got real bad FOMO. And I was like, look, and so I messaged them. I actually ended up emailing them and saying, hey, I really want to give this a go, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. Like, what happens if I pussy out? And they were like, it's fine, what we'll do is we'll just suit you up, we'll pop you in the plane, take you up there. If you don't end up doing it, it's absolutely fine, you don't have to pay anything. If you do it, you can pay when you get back to the ground. So I prepaid for Mark because we knew he was going to do it. That man feels absolutely no fear. So 100% he was going out of that plane, and I went up there with the idea of giving it my best go. And then I think the way that they did it was the best possible way. So what they did was they sat me directly next to the clear door, so I watched us go up, and that definitely made my anxiety about 1,000,000 times worse. I do remember telling the guy I was strapped to, I don't think I can do this, and he said to me, you don't have to, but you're gonna love it when you do, and if you don't, we have to sit next to the door and we're gonna be in the way of everybody else who's trying to get out of the plane. And me, being the ultimate people pleaser, was like, well, I can't inconvenience anybody else, I guess I'm getting out of this plane. So that's how that happened. They literally rolled up the door, we scooted to the edge. I remember looking at the poor girl behind me, she was like a teenager or something, and I literally looked out the plane and I went off, like, fuck this. And I turned to her, sorry for my language, if there's children watching you're gonna want to leave, but I literally turned to her and I said, nah, fuck this, like, this is not a joke, why am I up here? I am so scared, absolutely not. And before I could even think about it, my guy had yeeted us out of the plane. And for some reason, I think that initial like falling out of the plane in my head was the moment of death. So once we had done the initial tumble, and fell into the stable free fall position, I was like, sick, I'm not going to die, I can actually enjoy this. And then I enjoyed it the entire way down. I will say the skydive is the most fun thing we have ever done. I had a great time. I loved it. Even the free fall, it was fantastic. And then you just kind of float, you get to chat to the person you're strapped to. Like, it was a good time. I had my mum on the ground, she was watching us. I don't know why. She was kind of in the area and we invited her to be like, hey, come and hang out with us. But like in my head I was also like, what if I've just asked my mum to come and watch me like fall to my death? But once you get over that panic, it's fantastic. It is such a good time. Mark, the man who feels no fear, actually was not a fan of the free fall, but everything else he really loved, and both of us have said we want to skydive again. And I think I'd like to skydive in like a different country, maybe. Like, I think that'd be really cool just to see something different when you're going down, you know, because we did it in Taupo, so obviously we saw pretty much everything. You can essentially see from one side of New Zealand to the other when you're that high, and then the beautiful lake and all the surrounds and everything. So I could go on and on about the skydive. For someone whose biggest fear in life is falling from a great height, I'm so glad that I did this skydive, and I'd do it again in an instant. It was so much fun. So now we're getting a bit more current. The end of 2023, around August, that was when we went for our family vacation with Mark's siblings and his dad to Australia. We did so many cool things, but I think one of my favorites was definitely riding the camels. I do have a tiny bit of footage in one of my YouTube videos. I think it's called I'm Back, where you'll see some of our Australian stuff that we did. That was really fun. One of the things that I didn't realize was on my bucket list until we did it. It was not my idea at all, it was Mark's sister's idea, and I think it was fantastic. It was so much fun. Like, I thought camels were going to be scary. They're actually really sweet. And then following on from that, in May of 2024, we did Rarotonga with my siblings. That was really cool. We did some awesome stuff. I actually have a 2-part like vlog of those if you want to go and watch them. There's so much footage of Raro because that was when I had started making videos seriously. But probably one of the coolest things we did there was we ended up swimming with a turtle in the lagoon, not through like a tour or anything like that. We were just there minding our own business, having a bit of fun on some paddle boards and kayaks, and happened to swim with a turtle, which so big on my to-do list. It was the one thing that I wanted to do in Raro before we came home. So that was the highlight of the whole trip for me. Now we are in 2025, we're living in Australia, so we haven't done anything crazy in a while because it's really expensive to move to another country, and if you want to do things together you kind of have to be together. So that was our excuse. I now have something in mind what I really want to do later this year, and I really want to do it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I have everything crossed that it is. From what I have spoken about in this video, can you guys guess or leave some suggestions of what you think it's going to be in the comments? Now, Australia is a very big place. There are so many things that you can do and see, and I'm not going to lie, my list of things is very long, but I wanted to do this when we came over for our holiday, but it wasn't anywhere near where we were going. So we flew into Brisbane, flew out of Cairns, and drove up the coast. So it was absolutely nowhere near anywhere on that list. We just didn't have the time to get over there and do it. So now that we live here, I'm like, and I brought it up to Mark. I actually think I've mentioned it in a previous video. So if you've heard me talk about it in a previous video, pop it down below. If you haven't, go and search through my videos to see which one I talked about it in. Oh, that was a serious self-plug. This whole video has been a self-plug, and I'm not sorry about it at all. But yeah, that's me. That's what we've done. There is still so much that I want to do. So much. And it's just all like a jumble in my head, and I feel like there's so many things to just experience in this world that you might as well get out there and do it. So from watching this video, if there's anything that you have done that you think I'm going to enjoy, please leave it in the comments. If there's something that you have seen, even if it's in like a random country all over the world, we all know that I want to travel places, and I just need like one teeny tiny reason to travel somewhere. So if you think that there's something cool that I could do, it might be a luge or like a swing, not a bungee, Absolutely not a bungee. No. But yeah, leave me suggestions. Tell me what you think I'm going to do next. Tell me what you think I would enjoy doing next, because, you know, I'm flexible. I can do different things. I can plan ahead. I do nothing but plan ahead. But yeah, that was my recap. This is me kind of like remembering everything we've done and trying to put it in a bit of a timeline for myself as well as for you guys to enjoy. If you guys try any of these things, please tell me, because they're so much fun and I just want to see people do them. Like, if you think you want to swim with sharks, go and swim with sharks, man. It'll be the most fun thing you've ever done. If you've had even the tiniest thought that maybe one day you want to jump out of a plane, do it. 100%. My top 3 things on this list of things that I have done is jumping out of a plane, swimming with sharks, and probably the meerkats. I just really freaking like meerkats, man. I love them. They're so cute. Other than that, that is me for another video. Thank you for listening to me ramble. I hope that you've enjoyed some photos. I hope that this has inspired you in some way to get out and try something new and really get the most out of this life that we are all living. I'm not going to get too deep. That was a little bit weird. I will see you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye.